G'day, welcome to the TFI Uncut podcast. I'm your host, Tim Wyrau, also known as Tazcast across socials. I understand all of the effort that goes into these films each year, and I'm proud as punch to be hosting this podcast to learn all about the juicy gossip that went into everyone's films this year. Today is a fantastic episode, so buckle up and let's get into it. G'day and welcome back to the TFI Uncut podcast. I'm here with the Petersens today and we're talking about everything that went into their incredible film Up in the Kimberleys. You guys have had quite the journey. I just had a quick little sneak peek and a preview at your trailer. Looks pretty cool. First of all, I think let's start off with Rick. You've got a pretty cool little backstory. You've been a part of some interesting productions over the last couple of years. Let's hear a bit about your story.
Yeah, it has been quite the journey, especially over the last 12 months. We've been accepted onto the Alone series, Australia Alone Series 2. Coming back from New Zealand with not a great fishing track record. One fish in all that time. So
how many days did you survive?
38.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
38 days, and I got a nice trout on day 8, and that had me thinking, okay, this could be good. It wasn't to be.
Yeah,
time of year.
My mate Chris, Tassie Adventure Man, he was season 1.
Yeah.
And gosh, just everything that everyone goes through on that TV show, it's pretty hectic. I mean, 10 items out in the middle of the wilderness, and you've got to survive.
Yeah,
it's the whole concept is pretty crazy to me.
Yeah.
But, well done. 38 days, that's massive.
Yeah. Chris is a legend too. It's good to see him in and amongst the waterways. He's got a good philosophy on looking after the waterways, which is an important one too.
Absolutely. And I think that's a beautiful sustainability message as well that we're sort of running throughout the whole theme of the TFI too. And we've touched on it in previous years and we all care about our ocean. We're all very conservative people and conservationists as such. But let's introduce you two. So tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, where do we start? So we are the sons of...
You're the two sons?
Yeah. The sons of Brick.
Yeah.
And Arnhem and Tasman. Man, I don't know where to start, honestly. I'm not sure.
I'm sensing a little bit of a video production background from you guys, and that's something that I do for a living and something I do for a crust. What did you shoot this film for the TFI on this year?
So this is it felt like a bit of a dream team that came together, because it was like to have an opportunity that we can team up with Dad and put his skill set to use with our skill set, learn off each other, was kind of perfect. So to have this come around, and so we went out there, we even just figuring out the camera setup in a remote area, how we're going to work with the batteries and charge stuff and work it out over 5 days with a whole mission in itself. And it was like, all right, if we get fish on top of that, fantastic. But at the moment, we don't even know whether we're going to be able to charge the batteries after day 1. So we shot most of the stuff on Sony gear, Sony A7 Mark IVs and some DJI drones. We purchased another Sony before we went out that we shot 2 videos on, and it completely carked it. This is like software shut down, we couldn't use it. So a camera on day 1, we lost it, but then just kind of GoPros and then 2 Sony A7 Mark IVs and seemed to work the trick, and we figured it out with a few remote chargeable battery packs that we could charge on the go and make it work with a few solar panels. But it was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, shooting's so remote as well. Obviously, you've been out there and made things work in the past, and you've obviously got some strategic thinking to get through it. Obviously, you nutted it out together. You made the film happen. What was the basic idea behind your film and the concept and premise?
I guess after watching Dad on Alone, it raises the question in yourself. You're like, man, how would I go out there?
Yeah.
And it's not really practical to go and do such a survival challenge. There's a lot of work that goes into that. But to get an opportunity to just go as remote as we possibly could in Australia and do something that we haven't done before, catch our first Barramundi, and to do it in such a way, it's a bucket list trip, really. I couldn't...
I still haven't caught one. It's on my bucket list.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, the only place I'll be going to is catch a barra, and that's just 20 minutes from here I'll be cheating. So I've got to make sure that I come out with you guys.
Definitely going to come visit the Kimberly.
And as a dad, I've got early memories of the boys that they may not remember of catching their first fish for sure, and going further back to fishing in the dams and creeks of Tasmania when I was a young fella. I've got footage of Arnhem when he was about 2 years old, with him and I in the bush in the wilderness areas of Tassie, him catching his first little trout, and and it's really good to have that progress now to where we are.
Yeah.
To get to an area like the Kimberleys that I don't know that well,
Yep.
but it's always been on my bucket list to get in there and see the remoteness of it.
Gosh, this just feels so sentimental. I'd be proud as Punchy Boa you were taking these two fellas out and just being able to explore that part of the world together. How just sentimental. That's incredible. So were there any sort of highlights throughout the trip that you can spill the beans on? Were there any tough, intense moments? I mean, you mentioned with the solar panels and obviously having to charge some of your camera gear. What were some of those other challenges that you faced?
There was, to start off with, it was epic. Like, the way we got out there, we knew we were going remote, and it was a part of Australia that none of us had gone after exploring a fair bit of Oz and road tripping around as kids and living in different states. But to go somewhere that none of us had spent much time or no time, and then heading out, having like a 4-hour drive out there, and then a helicopter ride from there because there's no more roads to get where we're going.
That's
and it was like
that you have to get a helicopter in.
Yeah, it was like the realization that it was go up in the helicopter, we can't see anything for as far as we go, and it was like people don't have access for anywhere that you can see out of this helicopter. Like, these waterways get fished maybe once a year at most, if
Probably by the property owner.
Yeah. These waterways are just not accessible. So just
I know what had happened. I'd go straight in there. I still wouldn't catch anything.
Like it's 1 point something million acre. It's just like,
Wow.
it's remote.
So what you're saying is that you had to gain personalised access to even get onto this land to film.
Yeah.
So the place that you have shot your film, you've had private access to. That is spectacular. And I think that's just a triumph to the effort that a lot of these people this year and all the personalities are putting into these films. And hats off to you guys. You've done an excellent job.
Yeah, we can pretty well guarantee that where we've shot hasn't been shot before.
That's epic.
It was the first time any of those cliff faces have had a drone see them. If the first time any, like a lot of the fish had probably seen a lure.
Yeah. Any trouble with the drones and wedgies or anything like that?
You see in one of the clips there. There's a peregrine that's coming in to nail the drone, and it's like, let's get it out of the sky. You know, this is their area, and certainly, as much as being respectful for the waterways, you've got to be respectful of the airspace, and that's their breeding
mode. Come down, land it, turn it upside down, get it out of the airspace.
That's their breeding ground, and thanks for the footage. We're out of there now.
That's it. I think that's a very wise decision you made there. So if you guys were to do it all again, I mean, it kind of sounds like this is something I'd love to do. I'd love to join you on an adventure like this. What would you do differently?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, have him with it. That's great.
I'm stoked. But only after a creative endeavor, you have those feelings. You're like, man, I really could have improved on this, or I could have done that. But I'm stoked with the film we put forward, to be honest. I've watched it back once or twice, and I can't wait to watch it in the gold class.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of what we've put together.
And you could always say longer, to have longer out there, because
absolutely
it feels like, and Terry's been out there, the bloke that we went out with and gave us access to that area. He's been out there for 25 years and there's still more to explore, so that's probably the only thing that it's like you couldn't put a time cap on it, and you can keep going back and find new areas and find new fishing holes. So that's really special.
And Terry and I go back to my SAS regiment days. You know, he was a roping and climbing instructor, and a typical SAS soldier, but super professional. And him and I worked together with some of the urban descent off Australia, off the Skyrise, building charity raising things. But we've been gigging together for a long time, and so for him to have that knowledge in there, it's like, Terry, get us into the Kimberley sort of thing. So he goes, I've got a property owner, I know how to get us in there, let's do it. And we had a short time span that was just a window that opened. We were able to jump on.
That's brilliant that you were just able to gain that access. I think it's just so bloody cool.
And when you mentioned the thing about things you do differently, I've heard a wise tip about brand new lures with the barbs on them, that you should maybe compress the barbs before you go remote.
Don't tell me you got a
got a doozy.
No. I think there may be a couple of doozies that have happened throughout the TFI this year, and I'm not going to let you know who the other one is, but it looked pretty nice.
A bit of a blood trigger warning.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, even when you do get a hook stuck in your finger, I think a lot of people have a different concept and idea of how to get it out. You either crush the barb, push it through, or there's that other trick that you can do with the fishing line where you smack that over the top.
Yeah.
Do you know that trick?
I've seen it pop up afterwards. It's like the algorithm's going, hey, I think you need to know how to get a barb out of your finger.
Well, and for you guys listening back at home, I think the best way to do it is you place your monofilament over the top of the barb, so then it actually gives you a clean face to then pull it back out. So it doesn't essentially do anything to the barb. It doesn't compress the barb, but it just gives it that nice smooth covering, sort of like a rod armor, so they just be able to slip straight off.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So something that you can try the next time you get hooked in the face.
Hopefully we don't have to try, but
it was handled well.
Yeah. So I've heard through the grapevine that there's a little bit of a story about a beloved item in a MacPack. What can you tell me about this?
I had a MacPack bought for me from the inheritance from my mum when she passed away back in sort of around 2003. I got the backpack, and it's done Kokodas with me, South Coast tracks. It's done a lot of stuff, so it's very sentimental. And I think this may have been its last gig. It's the inner threads are falling apart and things are falling through, and you put something in the top and it almost comes out the bottom. But it's a special backpack, and I'll make sure that I keep some of that model. When I grab another backpack, I'll have some of the original MacPack flow into the next one to keep that journey going.
Beautiful. So what did you use for your carry-on to get here?
What's that, sir?
What did you use on the plane for your carry-on? You have to use a different bag.
Oh, we're from the coastline.
Oh gosh!
Sorry,
I didn't even realise you were.
We're down the road about half an hour.
You just went through me there.
Arnhem and Tasman. I was born in Darwin, or we both were actually, and Dad's born in Tassie. So it might seem like we're from a bit away, but just down the road.
Sounds to me. Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I know. Well, where you're going to put your lunchbox and your lunch
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're seeing that around over the next couple of days. So everything that's going on over the next couple of days is pretty exciting. And I kind of want to hype you guys up a little bit about what is going down. I'm not sure if you've seen anything online from previous years about what happens with the gold class screening and everyone coming in. It's a fantastic networking event to meet like-minded creators. Is there anyone that you're excited to meet this weekend that you know is going to be present?
From my point of view, I love a lot of Ricky Mack's content. I like my snakes and reptiles and anything creepy crawly. He's a bit of a legend in the industry, and I wouldn't mind catch up with Ricky Mack and having a chat. But no, definitely a few great characters in and amongst there. It'd be really good to spend a bit of time with. Yeah.
What about you guys? Anyone on the horizon?
I was lucky enough to actually come to the Gold Class last year.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I watched a few of the film, or all the films last year, and it was just so impressed. So when we got the invite this year, it was just mind blowing. I was like, sign me up, let's go.
Yeah.
But there are a few people. I know Rocket Kit's film last year. He didn't have the best run of luck, but he got the invite back again this year, and I really enjoyed his film last year. The trials and tribulations that he went through were insane. So I hope he has some luck this year, and I'm really excited to see his film.
I'm looking forward to having a chat with him too. He's just such a genuine, down-to-earth human. And he's
such a good person.
Such a great soul.
And Colby Lesko, I'd love to see how he goes. I love his content. I love just the way he presents what he does.
Cool. So obviously there's $70,000 up for grabs. You guys have been awarded $5,000 for competing as well, which is fantastic. Just even getting the invite. So I think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about back at home. If you do actually get invited to the TFI, or if you make the wildcard entry, there's $5,000 on the table for you for actually going out and creating this film. So a bit of remuneration for a lot of the hard work that does go into these films. If you were to take home the 70K, what are you going to do with it?
It'd be life-changing, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely life-changing money.
There's always those little things that you think, if situations were different, I'd love to have that kit, and just be able to really work on your creativity and not just in the fishing arena, but in the film production arena and being more remote,
Yeah. Yep. It's you can do quite a lot with all of that money, and I think it's pretty cool too, as you've just touched on. Camera gear isn't cheap, and being able to invest more into the production element and side of things. Is there anything sort of on your production kit list that's a dream camera that you guys would like to shoot on? And then touching on that, what would you say to any of the other creators out there that are thinking about entering over the next couple of years? Like, what would you recommend they shoot on for a nice high-end sort of production feel?
Even though it's kind of counterintuitive, I probably would just say that don't let your production kit be the thing that stops you from getting out to film.
Yeah.
Like, once we've kind of gone out and done it, there's some things that would be nice to iron out and make things easier with the process. But, it's pretty good now that an entry-level camera, $1,000 gets you pretty far, and another $600 get you a drone, and you're kind of off to the races with a kit that allows you to get out there and film something that can challenge with the best people in the world with what they do if you put the time in.
Yeah.
When you flash iPhones, what they can produce these days is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see some of the top tier sort of people filming on the iPhone, the Pro, that I can't remember which model, but they shot a whole film on it. And even, you know, when it comes down to cinematography and lighting, there's so much that you can do. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
One other thing as well.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, sure.
Jump in on that. I'd say thank you to TFI for that $5,000. It really let us put some effort into the production and go the extra mile and do things like the helicopter and stuff like that. But for anyone giving it a crack, I'd say it's really nice to nail your audio. That's something I was happy we did this time. So we invested in some new wireless microphones. I think they were made by Newer, but I know DJI has released some great ones, and there's a lot more entering the market now. And just to have clean audio to pull from was so nice, being so remote. Although we didn't have any car sounds, we didn't have any aircraft sounds, so that was actually so nice.
So you just straight onto Artlist and Audio Blocks and trying to pop in some sound effects there and sort of hack it in and get your nice nat sound. One other thing as well that I will touch on, with not even having the best top tier equipment, what I think a lot of people forget is that you can drive people in and hook them in with a nice narrative. If you've got a story at hand, you can get people's retention and keep them there for a solid 20 minutes. As long as you've got a story, something can be filmed pretty sloppy, and if there's a strong narrative there, people are going to get hooked in, and sometimes you'll even notice it on high-end, top-tier productions. I sort of sit back just as a camera geek, and I always think and analyze about how they're doing particular shots and how particular shots were achieved. But once you're hooked into a narrative, you actually stop thinking about it. You stop assessing, and that's when you know that you're onto a good film. So when you just start letting that sort of, you know, not even be a thing anymore, or you just,
That's literally the gold with Alone, that, it's a full TV series that goes around the world, and there's people that shoot it themselves. There's some GoPro footage, and it's going around the world on TVs, and it's that just goes to show that if, people have put their heart and soul into this, and people are being vulnerable because you're trying to not die. So and it's just exactly what you said is.
And as you said, Tim, and we got some great tips off Tim Noonan, who you would know, and who gave us a lot of gold nuggets when it come to that self-documenting on the Alone series. And we've got 10 minutes of his time to say, Tim, got to run something past you here. And exactly as you were saying, it's a narrative, it's a story. Take them on a journey, and the rest will fall into place if you do it correctly.
You know, how did it feel being out in that location in such a remote area that nobody else has been?
Yeah, it is epic. I obviously have a lot of respect for culture. I've lived and worked in and amongst a lot of areas with traditional owners, and this area borders on about 4 different language groups, if you like, or tribal areas. And so, always done with respect. And we had our welcome to country to start there, and that actually gives you that really good reassurance that we're welcome on this country, because that doesn't sit well with me being on country you're not welcome to. And so that's pretty important. For sure.
Sort of having that certification on top definitely makes it feel a little bit nicer and welcome.
It's just like a breath of fresh air. I feel like for someone that is around technology and filming and hustle and bustle all the time, and you're trying to make deadlines, and you get caught up in everyday life, and getting out there, and I think it hit when the hours of forward driving along these dirt tracks, and then you catch the helicopter, and then you finally land, and then you just sort of can't hear anything other than the natural sounds.
So just to paint the picture, how long did it actually take to get there?
So we flew from Darwin to Kununurra, and 2 hours flight, so that's easy. Then Terry picked us up, and we drove for about 4 hours, about an hour or so on the highway kind of thing, and then onto kind of private property and drove for 3 hours or so, where we camped out, waited for a helicopter at sunrise the next morning to
lift us over the range.
Wow. So you've got your flight from Sunny Coast to Dawul, and then 6-7 hours travel inland, and then a helicopter flight on top of that. I don't think you guys put in enough effort this year.
And the thing you realise too, even just on that 4-hour drive in the four-wheel drive, if it, and we got weather on the second night I think we were there. We had it coming in raining, and that's unseasonal. And I'm thinking that four-wheel drive, it's like he's got a winch, but if the winch defecates itself, and you've got no way of getting yourself out through some of that Black Plains swamp area, you're stuck in there.
So we're stuck. That you were getting going through to actually get in.
And it can change like that.
It hadn't been much rain, but we still had like some river crossings that were like 150 metres long to get out to where we were just driving through a water crossing.
Like, how deep were the river crossings?
Got up to the bonnet or so it was like, right, if we... thank God for snorkels. But it was like, after we're sitting under the hoochie and it's raining, and we're like, this is not meant to be raining, and we can't check any weather apps because we don't have facilities for it. It was like, this could get interesting pretty quick. Which is,
If the Dunham River comes up, it's like, it's another chopper expense to get out, and the vehicle will have to be retrieved at some stage later. It's like, and you're going to think of that contingency if something seriously goes wrong, and that's rugged country, and like I say, and the abseiling, and you do an ankle in there, and it's like, there's not a lot of options. You can strap it.
Especially if you're having to get helicoptered out and then, like you say, leave the car behind and then go back and get that again. Those expenses would just pile up on top of each other. Let's get to the fishing. So when you're catching in these remote areas, like you said, nobody has really touched on it or fished it. You say maybe once a year someone's actually been lucky enough to fish these ponds. Tell me about some of the action that was unfolding.
It was wicked. So where we landed, we had a bit of a destination where we wanted to get to, the Chamberlain River, and we made our way through there, all on foot, all carrying camera gear, fishing gear, sleeping gear, cooking gear, everything on our backs. So it was slow moving in comparison to everyday life, but it was wicked. And when we got there, Dad had some success at the start, managed to hook up on his first cast, and every consecutive cast after.
I wish it was that easy on a loan. I'd still be there.
But the main spot we wanted to actually fish, we had to work to get to a bit. So we didn't know at the time, but abseil down a waterfall and hike through these gorges. Incredible scenery, but where we ended up fishing was the most beautiful destination. It's like an oasis in the middle of the desert. Just got this like a beach, red rock face, deep pools. We managed to do some flips off the rocks and stuff like that, and it was just full of life. The waterways are full of life out there.
Even just getting out there and like, I'm not sure Terry had been hyping it up. He's probably just saying it how it is. But hearing Terry talk about it, we're all getting jittery, and he's saying that like he just walks on these pools and the Barramundi almost swimming up to the edge because they're inquisitive about what these people are, because they haven't seen humans before because there's no one out there. And so to go out there, we land in the chopper and he's like, oh no, I don't think there's any Barramundis in this pool. It's only a little pool. And Arnhem walks to the water's edge and it was like, wait, there's two Barramundi just sitting right there. It was like straight from the get-go. We've already been out of the chopper for 2 minutes and there's already barra at our feet. It was like, wow.
That's just insane. So you're pretty much fly casting them. Majority of the time.
Yeah.
You can just see, what were you using? What some lures?
We're not lure gurus, but we're using some Yuzuri
fingerlings. Yeah.
And there was like one lure that just seemed to
just any barrow we got, and we've got a few different sizes and that type of thing, but all of them are on that one lure.
The fingerling. I mean, it's kind of cool when you have a little arsenal of lures in your tackle box and find what works, and then it's just like, it makes the day so much easier because you just know eventually something's going to hit it. You're either matching a hatch with what else is going on within that ecosystem and finding the correct lure, and it just turns into easy mode. And you can just relax, take in the scenery. But yeah, it's pretty cool that you were able to find what they were shooting.
I think it was the profoundness when I think of like the alone side of things compared to this. Over there, it was about the making sure you're really looking after your resources, whether it's those last couple of worms in your tin or it's like I'm down to 6 hooks left type thing. Obviously, we had plenty of opportunity to use different lures over there, and if you busted one off or you lost it in a tree, which we eventually lost one, it's not such a big issue. Over there, it's everything.
I mean, this must have been almost luxury the way that you were living up.
Got to eat a bit of food.
Exactly.
I love the kind of continuity of it, that it's like, for the most part, it's like, oh wow, so you're doing it pretty tough, no technology and all that, and then it's like, it's a world away. You think, it's a world away for like, live at luxury compared to what you were.
And there was tarpon, there was catfish, there was bream, there's all sorts of fish there that were on your lures all the time, sort of thing. So you live out there quite comfortably and know that you've got to feed every night. We cooked up one on Tasman's beautiful barras. Yeah, and
Were there any sort of like big forest of kangaroos out there in that area, or snakes?
we saw, I reckon it was a wallaroo, decent sized wallaroo up in some of the stone country.
Yep.
Didn't come across a beautiful little monitor that Tasman, got some footage of.
Yeah, I saw like it was. I've never seen a baby monitor, but it was like as big as my hand, but just like vibrant yellows and black, just like
That's like, what is a monitor?
like a miniature Komodo dragon.
Yeah, it's in the Varanus family group of lizards, so a fork-tongued monitor, and the Komodo dragon being the biggest of all of them in the Komodo Islands. But we get some big ones here in Australia. The Goulds and the Parenti and that type of thing, they're all monitors. This was just a superbly little coloured one. Yeah.
And then the water monitor.
Yeah, little Merton's water monitor.
So
another up on
like
it. Yeah.
They hunt fish and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
That's
pretty
much
cool.
like David Attenborough stuff, and they're just like scatting and
Oh,
walking across the water, just like hopping from pond to pond. It's so cool,
you could go back and do another doco just on the intricacies of the fauna and flora of the area. I love it. I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of the vegetation there and some of the fauna, but I could love to go back and spend some more time. In fact, we will.
Yeah.
We're going to be back there again. We're going to be back there again next year.
I didn't see it, but you got a dingo on camera.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We saw a baby crocodile. We weren't sure whether it was fresh or salted because it was young.
Yeah, it's just young and vibrant, and I was sort of looking at the head shape, and it's like just seems to sit between.
You kind of just say the small ones are fresh waters anyway, aren't they? But
This was in the Chamberlain, and it's like I'll just take it back a few steps, and some of your casting of lures is in behind a big paper bark tree, because like you just get that feeling that I probably shouldn't be here in deep water, and it's like I've got nowhere really to go. It's like I'm going to fish over there, or
I mean, just hearing about the country that you were in just gets me so excited to watch your film, and I can't wait to sit down and really just immerse myself in everything that you guys got to experience. And I'm sure you guys back at home can't wait to see this as well. So make sure you jump on the Film Invitational, get your subscription, and get your loading in as well. There's hours of content on there for everyone to view. If you guys had any final words about your film or any calls to action, why should we watch it?
It's a pretty special trip. We put pretty well everything we could into this. We went as remote as we could. We didn't spare anything. So, it was a pretty special trip. And to be able to do it with Dad and Arnhem, it's been something on my bucket list for a long time. And it's like I have to go do that and spend some time out bush, because it's just easy for life to get away from you and just get on with it. So to make it happen and have TFI behind it, it's pretty special.
Absolutely. Yeah, an amazing opportunity you guys have presented to us. BCF and the TFI. And big thank you to Dean Jackson. Thank you.
It's BCF TFI is just such a fantastic event, and thank you very much, guys, for being a part of it this year. We're proud as punch to have you on board. If you were going to put money on anyone else but yourself to win this year, who do you think's going to take it home?
Colby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Straight up answer. I like it. Why?
I don't think it's so much straight up. There's a lot of, like, we're seeing snippets everyone. And it's like, oh, I love that. Yeah, I just leaning towards Colby.
Yeah, cool.
I'll go to Ellie and Goody, because I also know Jack, their filmer, and he's a weapon, but what they're coming out with, it seems like a bit of an unbeatable
Everyone's
vibe.
stepping it up, aren't they?
Yeah, it's cool.
It's really cool.
I have to say, some of the girls' teams that were like one to watch, I think they get in there and give it a crack harder than the guys sometimes.
It is cool just bringing that dynamic in too as well. I love the fact that everyone that is competing this year has been, strategically chosen, and we have such a fantastic competition ahead of us. Let's hear your pitch. Why are people voting for you this year? Give it to us.
Guys, this was a bucket list trip. The Petersens took on the Kimberleys. If you want to see us catch our first Barramundi, watch the trials and tribulations and everything in between, jump on board and check it out.
Yeah, having to put yourself in a position to abseil down a massive cliff face when they've never abseiled with a makeshift harness. You're definitely earned your first Dawul or Barramundi. Yeah,
It just sounds
it was great.
Awesome, and I can't wait to watch the full
And as a
film.
dad to see that happen, it warms the heart.
Yeah, so sentimental. Alrighty, well, thank you very much for jumping in and having a bit of a yarn to us this morning. Really appreciate your time. Guys back at home, don't forget, voting is opening soon, so make sure to jump on to thefilminvitational.com, proudly brought to you by BCF, and we are so grateful for them sponsoring us again this year. And stay tuned for more of these podcasts coming up. Don't forget to save it on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and also subscribe across Spotify and Apple Music as well, so you can get all of this juicy gossip as soon as it comes out.